A veteran can own the same company, provide the same service, and cross one state line into a completely different opportunity system. Different definitions, different certifications, different goals, different contracts, sometimes no meaningful programs at all. If a veteran-owned business mattered to the nation, should opportunity depend so heavily on geography? I believe America should debate one standard across all 50 states. In episode 11, we explained the federal SDVOB market. The federal government has certification rules, set-asides, and sole source authorities, agency goals, and acquisition regulations. States are different governments. They operate under state constitution, statutes, budgets, procurement codes, and local market conditions. Some have veteran business programs. Some have set-aside participation goals. Some use preferences, set-asides, discretionary purchasing, or certification directories. The details vary. And there is no general federal rule today requiring every state to award a specific share of its contracting dollars to service-disabled veteran-owned businesses. So this episode is not describing current law, it is presenting a proposal for serious debate. The central idea is simple. Create a national minimum framework for state SDVOB participation while allowing states to do more. A floor, not a ceiling. But the sentence is easier than the policy. What spending would be covered? State agencies only? Public authorities? Universities? Transportation projects? Local governments receiving federal funds? Would the percentages apply to awards, payments, prime contracts, subcontracts, or potentially would it apply to all of them? Would federal vet certification status be recognized, or would state certification remain necessary? How would a company prove ownership, control, disability status, size, and meaningful performance? What happens when market research shows too few qualified firms for one particular requirement? What happens when an agency misses the goal? Without answers, set a percentage is just a stupid slogan. With clear definitions, it can become a policy model. A national floor would also need a clear, distinctive boundary. Does it cover every state procurement dollar, only selected industries, or purchases supported by federal funds? Does it apply to prime contracts, subcontracts, or potentially both? Are local governments included? How are universities, public authorities, and infrastructure programs treated? Those are not minor drafting questions. A broad promise with a narrow legal reach can mislead business owners. A rigid rule applied where qualified supply does not yet exist can produce paperwork instead of actual performance. The policy should state exactly who must act, which spending counts, how much exceptions work, and what information becomes public. That clarity lets lawmakers debate the real proposal and lets veteran entrepreneurs plan around something more reliable than a simple headline. One of the largest burdens for a company operating across jurisdiction is repeated navigation. Create another account, upload another set of documents, interpret ownership definition, renew on another calendar, call another office to understand another directory. Same differences may be legally necessary. Others may be administrative duplication. A national framework could establish core data and verification standards that participating states recognize, while allowing a state to add requirements tied to the state's specific law. That could reduce repetitive work for legitimate firms and let administrators focus more attention on verification, fraud prevention, outreach, and the actual utilization. But repetitive things must not become automatic blindness. States need a way to investigate changes in ownership, control, eligibility, and performance. Supporters of state authorities will ask whether the federal government should dictate how states spend money. And that is a very serious question. The legal mechanisms matter here. Congressional authorities matter. Conditions attached to federal funding, volunteer incentives, model legislation, interstate compacts, and direct mandates are not the same thing at all. Each creates different constitutional and policy issues. Procurement leaders may warn that a rigid requirement could reduce competition, increase administrative burden, or become impossible to mandate with few eligible suppliers. The concern also deserves an answer. A credible framework needs market research rules, narrowly defined waivers, transparent explanations, and support that helps capable firms enter the market over time. Taxpayers may worry about front companies or pass-through arrangements, and those taxpayers, they should worry about that. The program needs ownership and control verification, limitations on subcontracting where appropriate, performance monitoring, audits, penalties, and public accountability. Veteran status should create a lawful opportunity to compete. It should never become a cover for fraud. A state can announce a percentage and still build a weak program. If the same few companies receive most of the spending, are new qualified firms entering? If dollars are counted at award but never paid, did the opportunity really occur? If agency reports participation through subcontracting, did the veteran-owned firm perform meaningful work? If certification takes months and buyers cannot find firms by capability alone, is the directory useful? If goals are missed year after year after year with no explanation whatsoever, is the goal governing behavior? Public reporting should include awards and payments, prime and subcontracting participation, industry, agency, firm concentration, waivers, timeliness, and verified performance where lawful and practical. The purpose is not to create a scoreboard for a round of applause. The purpose is to learn whether qualified businesses are receiving real access and delivering real value. A percentage alone cannot create a construction firm, a technology provider, manufacturer, or a professional services. States also need supplier discovery, forecast visibility, technical assistance, prompt payment, subcontracting accountability, and introductions between buyers and capable firms. Veteran entrepreneurs need to understand that a goal does not lower performance requirements. The company still needs the people, licenses, systems, insurance, pricing, cash, and experience to do the actual work. Access and capability must grow together. Otherwise, the policy will overpromise to veterans and undeliver to the agencies. Here is the VestVet challenge for today. Congress, governors, state legislators, procurement officials, veteran organizations, business owners, and constitutional experts should examine a national minimum framework, not a rush mandate, not a press release percentage, a serious model. Define the problem, map existing state systems, identify the lawful mechanisms, protect companies and taxpayers, build transparent measures, allow states to exceed the floor. Then test whether the model creates durable opportunity. Veterans should not encounter 50 disconnected systems without us asking whether a better foundation is possible. One standard does not have to mean one rigid bureaucracy. It could mean a shared minimum promise, clear eligibility, visible opportunity, fair competition, real accountability, room for states to lead. In episode 13, we will take this national question directly to New York State. New York State already has a serious SDVOB procurement program. The question is whether the state is willing to become even bolder about business formation, reinvestment, and the first 5 years in a business. One standard, 50 states, a national commitment to let qualified veterans compete. So subscribe to VestVet Debrief so you can watch the next episode when we go directly to New York State.